Rare earths, the holy grail of the 21st century. Today, it isn't easy to imagine our modern life without the 17 esoteric elements known as rare earths. Aside from a growing chorus of defense and policy experts, rare earths are not exactly a topic of daily conversation. But the modern life we now enjoy would be impossible without these elements. Our mobile phones, personal electronics, satellites, and cars simply do not work without them. They are the quintessential material of modern technology. The importance of rare earths in technology likewise applies to high-tech arsenals. Our precision munitions, communications, and almost everything else requiring supermagnets and semiconductors are intrinsically tied to rare earth metals. These omnipresent rare earth metals comprise 17 elements on the periodic table. The 15 elements of the lanthanide group, as well as scandium and yttrium, are further classified as light or heavy rare earths according to their atomic weight. The light rare earths are lanthanum, cerium, praseodymium, neodymium, promethium, and samarium. Heavy rare earths, which are rarer and consequently more valuable, include europium, gadolinium, dysprosium, holmium, erbium, thydorbium, and lutetium, together with scandium and yttrium. The term referring to this new technological holy grail, rare earths, is surrounded by a certain ambiguity. Understanding the different meanings associated with its use is essential to understanding how their supply chain works and their strategic relevance. Whether out of ignorance or a desire to simplify key points for the population at large, both politicians and journalists erroneously use the term rare earths to refer not only to rare earths, but also other green metals necessary for the green energy transition, such as lithium, cobalt, and nickel. While these green metals are certainly important for our envisioned green future and are inexorably intertwined with rare earths, we focus here largely on true rare earths, seeking to focus on the details regarding their most interesting secrets and the devils hidden therein. The critical strategic importance of rare earths is slowing emerging into the public forum. Yet, for all of their importance, their procurement is concentrated in just two countries, China and Australia. Even then, the Asian giant controls 80% of the rare earths market, and if we look specifically at heavy rare earths, these figures nearly reach 100%. In the context of supply chain security, it's a figure that is as alarming as it is astonishing to contemplate. Given the growing tensions between China, the US, and the rest of the Western world, it's understandable why there is a growing chorus of defense and policy experts concerned about China's rare earth monopoly. But why should the layperson going about their everyday life care about rare earth metals? At an individual level, they have slipped under our skin and injected themselves into our lives without our realization. You carry them around with you every day. In your wallet, your banknotes are marked with europium in order to prevent counterfeiting. For those not inclined to carry cash, you could pay with your cell phone, which is full of rare earths, usually lanthanum, terbium, neodymium, praseodymium, europium, and dysprosium, or pay with your smartwatch, which essentially contains the same elements. If you are listening to music with the latest model of wireless headphones, the technological miracle of their miniaturization and lightness is based on the use of internal magnets manufactured with neodymium and praseodymium. Let's imagine that by some magic, all those rare earths you're carrying disappear. Faced with the inability to shop and no handheld entertainment, you decide to return home. If you live in an apartment with an elevator, it's very likely that the electric motor of the elevator works with neodymium and praseodymium supermagnets. Bad news? Dear reader, your elevator is useless without these magnets. But if you're able-bodied and not overburdened with a baby stroller or the day's groceries, a little exercise is in order. If you were inclined to calculate, as you climb the stairs, the amount of rare earths in your house when you entered it, the amount would probably not exceed 1 kilogram. Yet neither your TV, nor your refrigerator, nor the dryer, nor the vacuum cleaner, nor the light bulbs, fluorescent or LED, nor the internet signal through the fiber optic would function. Swallowing your disappointment, you decide to take your internal combustion vehicle. If it is electric or hybrid, you need not bother trying to use it, to go visit a friend in the countryside. Perhaps your friend has survived the technological hecatomb isolated in the countryside. But without rare earths, your internal combustion vehicle would not start either, and even if it did, it certainly won't function to a degree that it is safe to drive it. The small electric motors in your car contain rare earths, and your vehicle's catalytic converter won't work without the elements lanthanum or cerium. Enough, you think, and in desperation decide to light up a cigarette. But your lighter stone is composed of a rare earth alloy called mischmetal, containing cerium, lanthanum, neodymium, and praseodymium. If you finally do succumb to panic, it's not worth calling 112 in Europe or 911 in America, because like any computerized communication system, it too depends on rare earths. This story could end up in taking a long walk to a hospital, itself in chaos, and without a GPS to guide you. I think this is sufficiently illustrative of the impact removing these innocuous metals from our lives would have. In short, our modern world cannot function without rare earths. If our industries at large suffered a shortage of these materials, and if government response were not as early and forceful or not, as with COVID, this hypothetical situation would rapidly begin mirroring reality. We could see power outages, cold chain breakages, ATMs out of service, potable water shortages in cities, defective heating systems, disarticulated maritime and land traffic networks, collapsed sanitary systems, etc. The future simply cannot do without these materials, which are physically present in the bases of virtually all emerging technologies, some of them potentially disruptive. Their unrivaled properties, even in minute quantities, make them an irreplaceable holy grail for technology industries. Their varied properties include magnetic fields 10 times stronger than traditional magnets, resistance to high temperatures, coercivity, luminescence, fluorescence, and electrical conductivity, among others. Without them, our Western technoculture would collapse. The disappearance of supermagnets alone would render it impossible to manufacture anything requiring high-performance electric motors, like automobiles, washers and dryers, vacuum cleaners, refrigerators, air conditioners, or our aforementioned elevator. Thanks to the elements neodymium, praseodymium, and dysprosium, the so-called permanent magnets crucial to many economic sectors, engineers have drastically decreased the form factor and energy consumption of their products. They are used both for the motors of missile fins and for our air conditioning and electric vehicles, as well as for hard disks. Modern satellites could not function without them either. Likewise, the electronics who hold us in thrall cannot function. TV screens, barcode scanners, computers, cell phones, digital cameras, portable stereos, and hard drives would all be affected. And this is just a fraction of the everyday items containing rare earths. The new age of metals. The significance of this marriage between rare earths and technology was not apparent to the Swedish army lieutenant who discovered them in 1787 in the town of Jitterby. Unlike today, there was no gold rush to seize these precious metals. Their use was initially limited to incandescent lamps, and the chemically based techniques required to separate them from their natural oxides, at the time simply called earths, was challenging and costly. This misleading designation of rare earths, as opposed to the perhaps more accurate rare oxides, refers to their low concentration within the mined oxide. From 1787 to 1947, the civilized world discovered 17 rare metal oxides. Continued research breakthroughs in the fields of atomic physics, quantum physics, and chemistry resulted in growing importance attached to these elements, while advances in spectroscopy made it possible to classify rare earths within the periodic table. The last of these elements wasn't discovered until 1947, when 3 American scientists came across it while developing the first generation of atomic bombs. This timid element, produced when uranium decays, was baptized with the name promethium and is today used in pacemakers, watches, portable X-ray equipment, and even nuclear batteries. These supermetals have also become a key resource for the modern-day green energy transition, with demand for them skyrocketing. They are used in fuel cells and increase the strength of the magnets equipping electric vehicle motors and wind turbines. An average hybrid or electric vehicle uses between 2 and 6 kilograms of rare earth magnets. They are commonly referred to as neodymium iron boron, NdFeB magnets, but in addition to neodymium, they also contain praseodymium, dysprosium, and ytterbium. These four metallic elements account for only 20% of rare earths extracted, but 90% of rare earth economic value. Rare earths, together with other metals such as lithium, have become the green gold needed for renewable energies and electric vehicles. They are gradually replacing petroleum, the legacy black gold, as the material strategic to our livelihood. As this dark, oily substance became the world's star commodity, its production and use redrew our lives. Its energy-powered machinery that avoided the use of animals as a means of transportation, and in agriculture, it replaced the physical labor of people. Factories were opened that concentrated labor in the cities, and the slave labor previously utilized thankfully disappeared. Manufacturing led to the organization of labor, and from there to higher salaries in the workforce. Without petroleum energy, there would have been no modern middle class. And it gave many people both the time and means to engage in leisure activities. Through rare earths, our modern society is attempting a similarly revolutionary transformation. But this revolution also comes with eerily similar ecological and sustainability issues, starting from the very first step in the procurement process: mining. Although rare earth deposits are abundant throughout the world, access to many is not economically viable. There are many deposits not considered reserves because of their insufficient size or concentration, their grade. The exploitation of such deposits simply isn't profitable. Conversely, there are also many deposits in the world that aren't exploitable, not for lack of size or quality, but because of the excessive costs of extracting and separating the minerals, or technological and logistical challenges, or the generation of heavy environmental pollution. All these factors make rare earth elements a scarce commodity in the metals markets. The supply chain for these elements begins with the extraction of their associated oxides from the earth. Most of these ores are extracted in large open mines, using techniques such as drilling and rock blasting to fragment the rocks and ore into manageable sizes for processing. But this is only the first step, and mining ventures must now expend staggering amounts of power to crush and grind the ore, and tons of water to separate the oxides by leaching, pouring acids over the ores, and concentrating them via froth flotation. On average, with rough calculations, it takes always more than 1,000 tons of mined earth to produce enough material for a single wind turbine's magnets. This concentration of rare earth oxides is then transported to processing plants. This requires further expenditure in the form of petroleum for trucks and trains, and there is also the inevitable loss of material in transit. This final concentrate leaving the mines contains between 30% and 70% of the total rare earth oxides. Depending on the rare earth element contained within, ores are classified as either heavy or light rare earth ore. Heavy rare earths are much less abundant than light rare earths. An example of the difficulty in obtaining heavy rare earth elements can be found in the name of one such element, dysprosium. It is an indispensable material for permanent magnets, deriving its name from the Greek dyspros, meaning inaccessible. Dysprosium and other heavy rare earths are not found in monazite ore, the main source of light rare earths as found, for instance, in the Mountain Weld mines of the Australian Lynas Company. This elusive metallic element is instead found in bastnasite ore mined in China, Inner Mongolia, and in the U.S. Mountain Pass mine in California. The concentration of heavy rare earths in these ores is so low that the total mineral content before concentration does not exceed 2%. If we add the difficulty of separating these elements, due to their similar properties, we can understand why barely 100 tons of dysprosium are produced in the world per year. Because typical concentrations of rare earth elements are so low, one solution is to extract them as a secondary target when extracting another metal, such as aluminum through bauxite ore, which also contains traces of rare earths. But according to some rare earth experts at the Spanish Geological and Mining Institute, one of the other major problems in extracting rare earths is that there are only accurate refining flow sheets, technical diagrams of the processes for refining ore, for a few types of minerals, such as monazite and bastnasite. The rest of the flow sheets must be constructed from theoretical models and laboratory experimentation, with no guarantee of success. If a company does generate a successful flow sheet, it usually becomes an industrial secret to guard that company's revenue stream from competitors. Ultimately, the underlying problem is that the world's open reserves of rare earths, whether light or heavy, are not sufficient to meet the expected global demand, and converting a deposit into a rare earth producing reserve, a working mine, has become the kind of adventure for investors and mining companies that usually takes more than 10 years, even assuming the process is successful.